Hello everyone and welcome to another Zap Team tutorial on airport development. Today we're going to be focusing on schedule making and making a nice realistic schedule for your airport. First things first, I would recommend having a folder to store all your schedules in like I do. Um, you're going to need two text files, the arrival and departure files. I'm going to go ahead and open these. They'll be on a second monitor so you won't see them, but I'll show you what they look like here in a minute. We're going to be pulling our data from FlightAware. This is done manually, so it'll get probably sped up in the video, but it takes a bit of patience. This entire process will take probably about an hour to do the method I'm using. So I'm going to be using Sydney, Kingsford, as my example airport since it has recently been teased. It's coming out, and there's a community version. So I'll be making a version for that. I'm going to go ahead and open the departures tab in a different tab. I'm going to open the arrivals here. And I want a nice clean schedule for Friday. It looks like it has just rolled over, so good timing. So I'm going to start here with this last Friday, which is at 11:46. For the arrival time, it's the last Friday, and then it goes to Saturday. So it's the last flight of the day. We're going to grab that. We're going to go down to the bottom. We're going to copy, and we're going to paste that. And I'll just show you what it looks like here. So we just paste that in the text file. And after I hit Control V, I always hit Enter to create a new line, so I don't have to do it the next time. So I'm just going to hit Next. I'm going to copy all this. And we're just going to keep doing this along until we reach the end of Friday. One note is you want to keep them within a 24-hour time period, so always cross-check and make sure that your start time, especially if you're doing between like 2 days, if you're doing like a Saturday, Sunday schedule, make sure if it's like your start time, so we did it at 11:46 p.m. on Friday, you want to make sure that the last time is also 11:46 and not something like 11:47 p.m. If it's outside a 24-hour time range, you'll get an error later on in the process, and then you'll just have to find and remove that flight, or you can modify its time if you want to keep the flight. You can change it so that it's a different time. So if it's like, you can just change it from like 11:47 down to like 11:46 or something, and you'd be totally okay doing that. There we are. So we have our arrival file. We'll go ahead and move to our departures. So we're looking for Friday. And we'll keep going along with this. There we go. So we got all of our files together. So now we have both of these open. So now what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to bring Listen to Airport. Sorry, wrong program. T3 scheduler, not Listen to Airport. And what we want to do is find our airport. If you're like me and you don't have your airport file set up, I would temporarily borrow. I've got a dummy airport that I use, but we'll focus on assuming we have our airport. I've already got a little schedule set up for this, but if you don't, you'll just grab like a Neargist schedule or something and click Clone Airport Database. Set it up how you need it. Presumably you'll already have one that you can clone that's your base setup with your terminal files and all that. If not, you can always do it after the fact, but you do need a little bit somewhere to store your schedule in this program. So I'm going to just straight away click Import New Schedule, select our arrivals file. We're going to go ahead and grab YSSY arrivals and departures, and give it a second to click Analyze File. I realize I'm doing this out of order. We don't need to do this yet, actually. Hold on. We're going to copy these. If you're using my scripts from the Discord, we're going to take them into Schedule Cleaner first. There we go. We can grab our cleaned schedules. And now we can go into the scheduler. I got ahead of myself. So now we can import. We're going to choose our cleaned ones. Actually, before we do that as well, one thing we're going to do to both of these, it's going to require something. You can use FlightAware for this too. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through and check, now that it's been cleaned, I want to look for missing data. So I just saw one. EV11, aircraft page. This is a C-30J. Definitely not an aircraft that'll be in-game, but we'll replace it later. And I think that was the only one that's missing. Alright, so that's our departure file. And do our arrivals file as well. Our 44, so these are helicopters. This one we know is the C-30J. And those are the only missing aircraft we have, so it's good. The reason I'm using AirNav radar over something like FlightAware, I guess you could use FlightAware. I've found sometimes it still doesn't maybe find your flights necessarily. This one will give you the aircraft type. The ICAO is up here in your tab so that you can quickly grab it and throw it in your schedule. And we won't worry if it's like in the game or not. We will deal with that later. So now we can finally bring in our files and analyze them. So I'm going to break this down just a little bit. Most people don't pay attention to this kind of stuff, but this is going to tell us a little bit more about some of the things we're going to be doing here in a minute. First, we got our stats, 770 regulars, 77 GAs, 26 airlines, whatever. All these airports, it has added to our list of planes that we're going to be utilizing. List of airports. Presumably because I can actually make those go away just to show you. So I'm gonna grab this file real quick. So what I'm doing is I keep sort of a master list of the airlines and the airports from other airports I've worked on, or schedules. And so this should help clear up a number of things, actually, including missing files. There we go. So that list got a heck of a lot smaller. So these are new airports that are going to get added to this list. I will then merge those. I'll show you how I'm going to do that once we generate the schedule proper. Looks like there is one missing airline, or GA airline, which I think is the EVY. Yes, right here. 13 missing airplanes and 14 liveries are missing. These are unknown airplane types, so some of these are helicopters. A few of these, like the B-77L, is a 77, probably a freighter. So we'll do B-77F for that. It's a 200 though. And then these are the missing liveries. So you see like Qantas B463, which we probably is also a freighter. But we'll get to these in just a moment. So we're going to create a mappings file template. I'm going to call it version 1 because what we're going to do real quick is minimize those for just a moment. Open. And so we need to first find what EVY is. While I'm here, I'm going to take out this section of where the liveries are, because what we want to do is, if we don't take those out, it's going to yell at us when we try to scan these again, saying that we still need to replace them. But we do need to detect all of these, because once we change these, it's not looking for the updates. So I normally just replace helicopters with a GA plane of some kind. I kind of just mix it up a little bit. So I believe it's the PA36. Let me just check real quick. It's a good idea that if you do have World Bundle, World Color, and you're dealing with it, that you keep the manifest open in Excel somewhere. So I can always check. So it's the PA46 that I'm looking for. This is going to probably be the freighter, although if it says that the freighter isn't available, but the 200 is, then we'll do that. I have found most B77Ls, which is the 200LR, are most likely freighters. We can do the E33, I think, for now. You are actually going to be at 510. This is the, I think it's called the Spartan. Definitely don't have an aircraft for this because it's a military cargo. So we're gonna make it something else. What would we like to make it? Not. We're gonna make you the new King Air because I think that'll be fun. I'm gonna make you the C. Yeah. And so we still need to find EVY. So I always like to check Nope. Let's see if they have it here. EBY11. I think we checked this before. Yeah, so this is C-130 actually. So it would appear this is probably a military aircraft. Don't have a telephony. Alright, well, fine by me. Always good to double check various sources to see what you can do. I'm just gonna list this as Eddie then. And I'm sure that's wrong, but we'll leave it as is for now. And what we're going to do is we're going to select the mapping file, analyze files. We're going to get an even bigger list, generate mapping file. I'm going to call this version 2. And then come back here. And now we have a bigger list. So Air Canada, I believe Air Canada XXC. So we're going to change this to XXC B7F. I believe they do have. They do not. They do have a 7.6Y though. So we will presume then this is the 772 then. This is a good example of always checking the manifest to be like, is it a freighter or is it not? So you don't have anything, you don't have anything. I think for ANG, China Southern, 772. I'm going to presume this is probably a Malaysian freighter. And if we want accuracy as well, we can check our original. It's actually, no, it's the 200. Oh, what I wanted, hold on. Passenger? It is. Interesting. Well then, I can take that back. We are looking for A330-300. No liveries, we just take them out. Qantas. I will leave this one out for a moment. Also leave that one out for a moment. UPS 74N 74N Euro GAs your 3W. So to clarify, the W is going to be the 700 with the winglets. H is the 800 with the winglets. They're the 737 NGs. Fairly common. Velocity has no 77W. Oh, that's gonna be fun. I have no SF-34 either. Alright, we'll wait and see if those get added at all. The reason I'm taking these out is because they might get added to the upcoming update. If not, I'll replace them later. But we're going to go ahead and do analyze again. There we go. So we're going to have all these missing liveries, but that's not that many. So I'm going to go ahead and click generate schedule. Now, I'm actually going to close out of this for just a moment, because what I would like to do is we are going to grab our file now. Stop it. So, our airports file should have received an update. Here we are. So these are the new airports that got added. So what I want to first do is I want to take our airport CSV. You don't have to do this, but I am. Bring it here. And I'm going to merge it with some of the past ones that I made. There we go. And the reason I'm doing this is because I have an updated master list of airports. And this also formats it appropriately. I have not done that with the airlines because we only have the one that ended up in here. So I'm also just going to Control H these to get rid of the double spaces that replaces this stupid dash. For some reason, it auto tries to replace that and still put a space in. That'll kind of break stuff, so I'm just going to get rid of that. So everything should be in here accordingly, including the EV flight, the EV flight. This is a nice healthy GA file. It's helicopters we replaced as GA planes. Never underestimate the power of having cool GA planes in your schedule. Good way to populate your schedule. We can also check our schedule.csv. Everything's here. This is what we're really going to be after and modifying, so time to do that. So we're going to take our schedule.csv. We're going to bring it first to our cargo replacer, because we want to make sure we catch our cargo flights. There we go. So now we can check our output at CSV that we caught our cargo flights. There they are. FedEx, or UPS flight. Good. Copy that. We don't have to worry about the other scripts. If it's a US airport, you might want to do the RPA replacer, which does, depending on the flight number of the Republic flight, it kind of matters which airline they fly for, so American, United, or Delta. And so this will auto-detect it. Otherwise, if it's outside that, like a special flight, it'll just be the standard flagship livery, which they don't really use at all anymore, but good to have it anyway, just for some variety. So that's our schedule. We can go ahead and pop back into T3 Scheduler now. And we should be able to check out our schedule list. So we can see here's all our airlines. And we should be able to pop into the other tabs and see that yep, we have our cargo flights. Have our GA flights. 52 VH flights. That's crazy. So that is our schedule. Now I'm going to quickly show how to make a Zap schedule for those who like playing with Zap schedules and want to use the custom liveries that we have. We're just going to quickly make a morning schedule. I will make a noon schedule as well just to showcase it, or maybe like a competition schedule. First things first, before we touch anything, I would like to come in here. I'm going to add an airline. Nivik has the Night Owls, which are MD-11s. Always do EHAM, unless it's EHAM and then I do like Hong Kong. And then I come into the regional tab because it gives me more flexible control over how much they show up in a schedule. So we're in Australia, so we're gonna find it's gonna be that. Gotcha planes. I'm just going to be a bit lazy with this. There's our jets as well. Normally I'd give each of these like kind of like a unique little one, but we'll just leave them. Can't forget the ringways. Unrealistic, but I'll still add it. Yes, I know. have some fun with it. Alright. So once we do this, once you're happy with your stats, you've cleaned out your schedule properly and everything, you're going to click Save to File. I'm just going to leave that as is. And click Apply, since this is a different schedule. I'm going to check this as randomized. I like 8%. Since it's a morning schedule, I try to keep it for 3 hours. I'm going to do 240 at, we'll do 4% cargo, 6% regional, 14 GA flights per hour is crazy, so we're going to drop it to 7. I do 40-60 for mornings, 50-50 for other schedules, and 60-40 for evening. Just give it some flavor in the pack. Then we're just going to click Generate New Randomized Schedule. Then you can clone it. And for our noon schedule, we can go to noon. Select it and exclude airlines. We're going to click Load From File. It's our morning stat file. Go to 12. Reset this to 240. I'm going to set this to like, we can go back down to 3%. We'll do the full 14 GA and go crazy. 50-50, 8%. Generate new randomized schedule, read schedule. Boom. I'll even do it one more time just because. Select and exclude airlines, load from file, apply. I do 6 p.m. Do 60-40. Generate new randomized. So that is pretty much how you make all of your schedules. In the future, we'll discuss the frequency and terminal files as part of the development, airport development itself. But for the schedule making portion of it, this is how you make your schedules, and you pull it from FlightAware. This doesn't just apply to airport development, of course. This applies to making for all your airports, community airports, or otherwise. Enjoy, and happy developing.